Right, we're just kind of trudging along toward the weekend now, aren't we? Slowly but surely creeping up on that game against Kilmarnock. It's a match that could very well decide the title. Aye, we're talking about winning the league this weekend. We need 3 points, plain and simple. If we win on Saturday, there's a decent chance we're champions come Sunday. That should be massive, right? Should be the kind of thing that has everyone bouncing. 55 titles, 4 in a row. It's no small feat. But here we are sitting in this strange kind of limbo where it just doesn't feel as big as it should. There's this odd sense of it all being a bit anticlimactic. The team looks like they've mentally checked out a bit, and it's hard not to feel like the season's already done, even though we're potentially 1 win away from clinching it, and maybe that's part of it. There's not been that same buzz around his running. Maybe it's the performances, maybe it's the general flatness that's crept in lately. But here's the question I've been mulling over. Would you rather win the title this weekend, even if it means we're not actually on the pitch when it's confirmed? Or would you rather wait, take a couple more weeks, and have that proper moment, lifting the trophy with the team all together? Do you care? Honestly, if the answer is, nah, don't really mind, that's fair too. This is a safe space. Anyway, that's just the vibe lately. We're on the cusp of something special, and yet it feels like we're all just going through the motions. But there's still plenty going on. Had a wee scroll through the headlines this morning, bit of an old school roundup style today, and there's definitely a few things worth chatting about. First off, Kieran Tierney. Now, I don't know how closely you've been following him lately, but I've got to say I'm feeling pretty conflicted when it comes to Arsenal. They're doing well, right? And that should be fine, good for them, but the truth is I've never really taken to Mikel Arteta. Nothing to do with Tierney specifically, or even his time at Rangers. I just find him a bit dull. He's not exactly a manager that stirs much emotion in me, unless you count irritation. So on the one hand, the idea of Arteta having success, especially in Europe, it doesn't sit that well with me. The thought of him lifting the Champions League trophy, grinning away like he's just reinvented football, not really for me. But then you've got Kieran Tierney in the mix, and suddenly it's a different story. Seeing him doing well, maybe even going all the way in Europe, that brings a smile to your face. That's the conflict. Arsenal smacked Real Madrid 3-0 last night. That's no small achievement. 2 stunning free kicks from Declan Rice, 1 foot, firmly in the semi-finals now. But of course it's Madrid, isn't it? Never write them off. I remember them pulling off a ridiculous comeback against City not long ago, scoring twice in stoppage. Time when the tie looked completely done and dusted. So yeah, Arsenal looks strong, but the job's far from finished. Anyway, back to Tierney. He came on for the last 10 minutes last night, playing out on the left wing, a position he's been popping up in a fair bit recently. And he's not just making cameo appearances either. He's getting minutes consistently. 10, 15, 20 at a time, but enough to stay sharp to contribute. Arteta clearly still trusts him to a degree, even if it's not as a starter. And when you actually watch him, like properly watch, he's still got it. I was out at the weekend game, was on in the background, and as soon as Tierney came on, I tuned in properly. You know how it is, you can be in any pub, any match on the telly, and somehow you end up glued to it, especially if it's one of your own. He was sharp, composed, dangerous going forward. Later on, I had a few beers in me and decided to head onto that fine Platform X, still feels weird calling it that, and see what the Arsenal support was saying about him. And honestly, they love him. There's real admiration there, and a fair bit of regret too. Loads of them gutted that he's leaving. I saw comment after comment praising his recent performances, calling him class, saying it's mad that he's heading back to Scotland. One said he should still be playing at the top level in Europe. Another said Tierney's been phenomenal whenever he gets a chance. You can tell it's not just a token appreciation either. They genuinely rate the lad. There's an overwhelming amount of positive sentiment, and that tells you a lot. This isn't just a case of nostalgia or bias on our part. He's still got the ability, still got the engine, and still has fans outside of Celtic who believe he's top tier. For us, is massive. Getting someone like Kieran Tierney back, even if just on a pre-contract or a loan, that's a game changer, a real proper game changer. I know I keep using that phrase, but that's because it's true. You look at our current issues down the left side, and then you picture Tierney slotting and bombing forward, cutting back into the box with those perfect low crosses. It's a different level entirely. He offers something we've been lacking: real quality, proper experience, and the kind of mentality that only comes from knowing exactly what it means to pull on the Celtic shirt. He's one of us. He's been through it. He knows the standards. You don't get that everywhere. He's cut from the same cloth as Callum McGregor came through with Scott Brown setting the tone. That matters. That background, that awareness of what Celtic is all about. It's not everything, but it counts. For a lot. Especially in tough moments. You need players who aren't just technically gifted, but who understand what's at stake every time they step on the pitch. Tierney brings that. Of course, the big caveat is the injuries. That's the reason we're able to bring him back at all, let's be honest. If he had stayed fully fit at Arsenal, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He'd still be in London. Or maybe at another top club on the continent. The only reason this door's open for us is because of those setbacks. But if we manage him properly, if we rotate and protect him, find someone to share the workload, then we've got a serious asset. Think about Europe. Think about those tight away games where you need someone reliable, someone brave on the ball. That's where Tierney thrives. And domestically, it goes without saying, he's far too good for most of the opposition he'll face week in, week out. But he's not here just to coast. You know he'll give everything every single time. That's just who he is. Injuries or not, this is a brilliant piece of business for us. And I'll admit it, part of me would still hate to see Arteta win the Champions League. But if Tierney's the one lifting that trophy doing his usual wild-eyed celebration, then maybe I'd let it slide. Maybe. Now shifting a bit closer to home, let's chat about something that's maybe not headline-grabbing, but still had folk talking yesterday. Alan Muir is officially done as a VAR official. That's right after some absolute howlers. In recent months, he's been removed from his full-time post at Clydesdale House. And to be honest, few tears will be shed. Most will remember that infamous moment at Easter Road where he decided to chalk off what would have been a vital equalizer for us with no real justification. It sparked all sorts of debate about whether the ball was actually out of play or not, but the key point is this. It was later admitted that Muir should never have intervened. He was wrong to get involved, wrong to talk his assistant into changing the on-field decision, and ultimately it cost us points. That wasn't an isolated incident either. There was the Dyson Mida situation at Fir Park earlier in the season, where, again, Muir found himself in the middle of it making calls that simply made no sense. That particular one ended up with the KMI panel, Key Match Incident panel, ruling it had been another wrong decision. And let's not forget the Seed Hakshabanovic moment at Rugby Park last season in the League Cup. Should have been a penalty plain as day. We went out of the cup that day. Terrible performance overall, but still. That penalty could have changed the whole game. Again, Muir was the man in the VAR room. He'd given up refereeing on the pitch to focus full-time on VAR. Probably thought it was a safer gig, less abuse from the stands maybe. But now it's all gone pear-shaped. He's lost that role, and from what we're hearing, he won't be returning to the pitch either. Instead, he'll now be an advisory referee, basically sitting in judgment of other officials, which if we're being honest, feels a bit rich considering his own record. But that's where we are. Alan Muir out of the VAR booth. Will things improve from here? Maybe, maybe not. The other full-time VARs, Andrew Dallas and Greg Aitken, are still about, so let's not pop the champagne just yet. On to something else that caught the eye. Charlie Mulgrew. Poor Charlie's managerial career took a bit of a hit yesterday as well. Turns out he was in charge at Kelty Hearts. And if you didn't know, that don't feel bad neither did. His stint lasted just 11 games with only one win to show for it. He came in during January, tried to steady the ship, but things clearly didn't click. And now he's resigned already, barely into April. Management's a brutal game. You don't get much time, especially at smaller clubs. But it's still a bit of a shame. Mulgrew's someone a lot of us remember fondly, and I for one would love to see him back at Celtic in some capacity. Maybe not as a manager, mind you, but in a coaching role, maybe working with the B team or younger players. He's got loads to offer: experience, personality, a good football brain. It's just maybe too soon for him to be the man calling all the shots. Last wee thing before we wrap, a bit of ticket news. Celtic Park is sold out for the Kilmarnock game this weekend, even though it might not end up being the title decider. That alone says a lot about the support. But what's really interesting is next week's semi-final at Hampton against St. Johnstone. Now, usually tickets for cup semis at Hampton are a nightmare to get, especially if you're not a season ticket holder. But this time, for whatever reason, there's still tickets available, and they're going on general sale. I got the email myself from the club saying general sale starts at 10 a.m. Wednesday, which is wild. If you're someone who's not got a season book but still wants to get to Hampton, this is a rare opportunity. Maybe it's down to a few different things. Performances haven't been that inspiring lately, the whole digital-only ticketing. Systems put people off a bit. And let's be honest, playing St. Johnstone isn't exactly the most mouth-watering fixture. They're probably only bringing about 5,000 fans themselves, so we've got even more of the ground to fill. That said, I still reckon we'll take at least 30,000 there, maybe more. Could be 35, which is still solid. But the fact that tickets are available to the general public tells you that demand isn't quite what it once was. Prices are a bit steep as well. 40 quid if you're in the north or south stand, 20 for concessions. The east and west stands are slightly cheaper, 30 and 15 respectively. But let's be honest, the views from those sections aren't the best. I was sat there for a cup final against Rangers a couple of years back, and I swear I went home and rewatched the game thinking it looked totally different on the telly. So that's the state of things right now. A weird limbo with the title in touching distance, a returning hero in Tierney possibly changing the game for us. VAR drama finally catching up with one of its main men, and ticket sales hinting at a bit of disillusionment among the fans. Feels like a crossroads, doesn't it? Maybe Saturday's result gives us the lift we need. Maybe Tierney in green and white again sparks something deeper. Maybe the refs improve? Alright, let's not get carried away. But something's brewing. You can feel it! Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In a captivating video making rounds across social media, Matt O'Reilly, the talented midfielder currently with Brighton and Hove Albion, appears to have dropped a bombshell that has sent shockwaves through the football world. O'Reilly, once a shining star at Celtic FC, is reportedly expressing regret over his decision to leave the Scottish Giants for a Premier League move. The timing couldn't be more intriguing, as the midfielder's career with Brighton has been hampered by injury, leaving fans and pundits questioning whether he made the right choice in leaving Celtic at the peak of his success. The 23-year-old's journey with Celtic had all the makings of a fairy tale. After joining the club in January 2022 for a modest fee of $1.5 million, O'Reilly quickly became a fan favorite, making an instant impact with stunning performances. His midfield prowess helped Celtic secure the 2021-22 Scottish Premiership title. While he continued to shine in European competitions, including a memorable UEFA Champions League debut, O'Reilly was widely regarded as one of the best signings in recent years for the club, with fans lauding his creativity, vision, and consistency. However, the allure of the Premier League proved too strong, and in August 2024, O'Reilly made the jump to Brighton and Hove Albion for a hefty $25 million. But what was initially seen as a step up in his career quickly turned sour. A frustrating injury derailed his debut, and a lack of game time left many wondering if the move was truly in his best interests. Now, with time to reflect, O'Reilly's comments have fueled speculation that his departure from Celtic was perhaps premature given the success and adoration he had built at Parkhead. The midfielder's regret seems to stem from a feeling of unfinished business at Celtic, where he had the chance to cement himself as one of the club's modern-day greats. With Celtic continuing to dominate Scottish football, the question arises: did O'Reilly leave a winning team too soon in search of bigger challenges? His comments suggest that the grass may not always be greener, especially when the passionate Celtic fan base, the title wins, and the opportunity to continue growing within a stable, supportive environment were all in place. As O'Reilly's career continues to unfold, both at Brighton and on the international stage with Denmark, fans and analysts alike are left to wonder whether this brief moment of regret could be a pivotal turning point in the midfielder's career. Will he find redemption at Brighton, or will the call of Celtic's past haunt him for years to come? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: O'Reilly's comments have certainly added fuel to the ongoing debate about the risks and rewards of moving to the Premier League from a club as historically successful as Celtic. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video. Cheat out for Celtic FC fans.